Hi guys, so Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, issued a statement in the House of Commons on Tuesday which contained little in the way of anything actually new. Just more pointless rhetoric about how the EU is to blame for the problems of the protocol, how it has been draconian in its implementation, and how the UK government is the real defender of the Good Friday Agreement. However, I want to focus in this video on my good friend Ian Paisley from the DUP. He came up with some interesting comments about how the protocol, or in reality Brexit, is harming businesses. Have a listen to this.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Foreign Secretary must be alarmed at the comments that emerged this morning from the Chairman of Marks and Spencer. Already he's had to close his business in France. His business in the Republic of Ireland is about to close. Oh, he's a Conservative, therefore he should not be doing business. That seems to be the Liberal view.
What are you talking about? I don't know who it was that said he's a Conservative. He used to be a Conservative MP, Archie Norman, who's the current head of Marks and Spencer's. Marks and Spencer is struggling in France and in the Republic of Ireland because of Brexit, not because of the protocol. The protocol has nothing to do with trade between Great Britain and France, and almost nothing to do with trade between Great Britain and Ireland, the Republic of Ireland. It's to do with Northern Ireland. So is Ian Paisley here criticising Brexit? Now, this is an article from last September, and about Marks and Spencer in France. It says here, the post-Brexit issues Marks and Spencer have run into involving the strict regulations controlling the export of food from Britain, where much of the chain's chilled products are made into the EU. The rules are leading to border delays, making items with a very short shelf life, such as freshly made sandwiches, unsellable. Similar issues led Marks and Spencer to remove fresh and chilled products from its stores in the Czech Republic in April. Instead, it doubled the range of frozen and ambient products, which are easier to export from the UK. Mr. Norman, who Ian Paisley is referring to here, said, so he criticised in a recent public letter the Byzantine, pointless and honestly pettifogging bureaucracy following Brexit. So is Ian Paisley here criticising Brexit? Finally.
His business in the Republic of Ireland to export goods has to fill in 700 pages. It has to do that within an 8-hour period. It has to do some of that wording in Latin to satisfy the European community.
Now, when I heard him mentioning Latin, I was, what? What is he talking about? Obviously, I don't know, I'm not an expert on horticulture, but I think what he means is, if you're transferring goods, you will use the Latin name, the scientific name, actually. So certain products like plants, you should use the scientific name, not the common name. So for example, oak, if you're moving an oak from outside the single market into the single market, you would use the name Quercus rubor. You wouldn't call it an oak. But the reason we use the scientific name is because if you're selling it to Japan, you won't use the Japanese word, you will use the Latin name, the scientific name. The same was with the United States. If you're selling it to the United States, you use the scientific name. The scientific name is in Latin. I think this is what Ian Paisley is complaining about, which is normal behavior, normal trading behavior. But then he wasn't specific here, but anyway, let's continue.
And it also has to do it in a certain type font, or else it will not be allowed. It costs him an additional £30 million.
And who do you have to blame for this? The Brexiteers. The Brexiteers who said, we want to leave the single market and the customs union. Now, businesses in Northern Ireland are not as deeply impacted as this because, well, they can actually trade with the EU single market and they don't have to complete all this documentation and they don't have to suffer these consequences. Ian Paisley here is describing Brexit, the damage Brexit is doing to businesses like Marks and Spencer.
He has said this morning on the radio that the EU has told him that they would like the same procedures for his businesses in Northern Ireland. This is a power grab. People talk about a trade war. This is a trade war to crush business in Northern Ireland. Will the Foreign Secretary ensure that whenever she's speaking to the Cabinet, that they know clearly that if they keep the protocol, power sharing isn't coming back?
Foreign Secretary.
I don't believe for a second that Ian Paisley, Ian Paisley is saying here is true. The EU has told Marks and Spencer you have to do something. I don't believe that's true at all. But we've already known that there are grace periods on certain products, and these grace periods will end, which will mean that checks will have to be carried out. These grace periods will eventually end, and it will be expensive. But this is the consequence of Brexit, and this was known by the people who signed it. And who signed it? Boris Johnson and his government and Lord Frost. So you can't turn around and complain about how Brexit is damaging businesses in Great Britain and then say, well, this is going to be eventually the result for Northern Ireland as well, when Boris Johnson knew about it and did nothing to stop it. He did not say, actually, this is a bad idea, let's go in reverse gear. No. Ian Paisley here describing the disaster of Brexit. Well done, Ian. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.